Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. I'm Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of June the 9th, 2025. This week has an enormous amount of volatility, a really busy week astrologically. So pour yourself a cup of tea and let's sit and chat about the week. Now, we start with some very consequential astrology on Monday the 9th. We're in this lovely energy of Mars and Leo connecting beautifully with Chiron. So there's this, real deep drive to understand where our heart is, what we're passionate about, kind of working on ourselves. Into this energy comes Jupiter moving into the sign of Cancer. Now, Jupiter has been in Gemini for about a year. And that's about how long Jupiter stays in a particular sign. So it operates on a 12-year cycle. So you're going to look back at the summer of 2013 to see what is being echoed at this time. But with this move of Jupiter into Cancer, it gets out of the very busy mental sign of Gemini and into the sign that represents the home, the hearth, the mother, the caretaker, the nurturer. It's out of air, which brings in tons of information and ideas and has basically flooded us with information and misinformation over this last year. And now it goes into this sign that's very family-oriented, that can be very intuitive, but yet also overly sensitive, that can have the qualities of the crab, right? That indecision, back and forth, side to side motion towards a goal, the harsh claws coming out when threatened or fearful, and that sweet, tender inner self. These are all qualities of Cancer, and Jupiter loves to be in Cancer. It's actually a really lovely opportunity with some positive possible manifestations. Keep in mind also that it will definitely bring up themes around family, tribe, and belonging. It will bring up themes regarding nationality and nations and where we belong in that. So you can see more and more there will be themes around that that relate to immigration, belonging, etc. So keep your eyes on that, but you'll want to watch and see. It occurs on the 9th at 5:02 p.m. Eastern, so you'll want to kind of take notice of this. Now, we also have, at this same time, we have Mercury, which is in the very early degrees of Cancer. And so it kind of preceded Jupiter's little entrance into Cancer, but they're going to stay very close. And so they'll be much more of an immediate resonance between the two planets when they're both in the same signs. Mercury is already in a combative, difficult position with both Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries. This is a square. So there's some conflict there, and now Jupiter arrives to blow it up, to make it bigger. So expect more rhetoric, arguments, ideas, disagreements, conflicts. The potential is there. So really be aware of that and understand what's happening so that you're not feeding some kind of fire that you really don't want to rage out of control. We'll also have at that same time on Monday, Venus in the sign of Taurus, where she loves to be, meeting Pluto, the planet of the underworld, in Aquarius. They are in a square. So power struggles, power dynamics, difficulties, uncertainties, heavier, darker themes coming up. This is all something that kind of will permeate this entire week. So I want you to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on also the fact that Pluto is actually very powerfully supporting Neptune at this time. They're connecting very nicely, Pluto and Neptune. And so think about that kind of the bigger, broader cycles that are unfolding at this time. We have a full moon on Wednesday, the 11th. It is at 3:44 a.m. Eastern. So adjust for your time zone. It may be actually happening for you on Tuesday, but it's at 20 degrees of the sign of Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is the sign that's ruled by Jupiter. And so having Jupiter just newly moved into the sign that's across the sky, or getting out of the sign that's across the sky, right? It was in Gemini. Now it's moving into Cancer, where it much prefers to be. And this new moon in Sagittarius, or full moon in Sagittarius, will mean we'll have to let go of some old outworn philosophies or understandings. We'll need to let go of a certain amount of rash decision making, this a little bit too quick to come to an idea or to pivot in our thinking. We need to slow down a little bit. We need to be a little bit more sensitive. We need to be a little bit more intuitive. So it's time to let go of something in the Sagittarius area of life. In the positive sense, Mercury in Cancer is sending beautiful energy to Venus at this time. And so even though it does have this little bit of conflict that it has initially with Saturn and Neptune, it's going to move on to flow beautifully with Venus. So there's something about following your heart here, something about being inspired by what you're really passionate about. We also want to keep an eye on, at the same time, this Sun in Gemini is going to square to the nodes, and you're going to feel that all the way through this new moon on Wednesday through the weekend. So Sun square the nodes is really pivoting us, pushing us, trying to prompt us to balance the Piscean dream with the Virgo reality. It's trying to give us the information, understandings, help us meet the right people, make the right connections in order to merge those energies. So consider that as well. Now, keep in mind also, there's a moon void that evening, 3:58 p.m. Eastern till 9:55 p.m. Eastern. So if you're looking at your new moon or your full moon, cord cutting rituals, letting go, things of that nature, you want to accomplish it before that time range. And then we still continue to have a bit of tension building, because now we have the really tricky transit of the week, and that is Mars in the sign of Leo, moving into a square with Uranus in Taurus. So Mars-Uranus brings sudden shocking events, often related to anger, to upset, to Martian-themed events, war, conflict, accidents, cutting. The Uranian element brings in the shock, the surprise, the relationship with technology, the relationship with groups of people. So this is extremely volatile. And I would say this is in play, I would say, from the 12th all the way through the weekend. Now, I know in the United States, it is Father's Day weekend. It is just not the greatest vibe this weekend. It's very argumentative, very conflict-based, very a little treacherous. We also have, at the same time, we'll have an exact square between Jupiter and Saturn, which is a cycle that we all want to pay attention to. It's also going to be a little hard to parse apart that Saturn-Jupiter, because it's not purely just the two of those planets going into a difficult angle. The Sun is amplified, or Jupiter is amplified by the presence of Mercury, and then there's Saturn amplified by the presence of Neptune. I think there's going to be a lot of confusion. The whole kind of conspiracy vibe is going to be really, really strong. And then add in this kind of scary, violent edge or accident edge. You've got to really slow down and have a very quiet, calm weekend. So drive more carefully. Be a little bit more careful with, even just having candles in your house. Be a little bit more aware of your surroundings. Be a little bit more aware of weather events, and have your preparedness items lined up. There's just quite a bit of energy this week, and that is really going to be amplified. Think about where Leo and Taurus are in your chart, and see how those areas of life maybe aren't really flowing harmoniously, and how you can find a balance, or at least pacify things. Think of Uranus as the dynamite and Mars as the match, okay? Now, if you don't get the two of them together, you're not going to have the explosion, but if you do, then you will. So I want you to really be careful and cautious this week. As far as the light and shadow, well, we are starting out with that lovely Mars Chiron. I think you would really have to dig into your awareness to see that, but really see how you're working on reclaiming your pride, reclaiming your autonomy, feeling like you can step forward from everything you've learned and help others. Lean into Jupiter in Cancer. I'm looking forward to this. I have natally Jupiter in Cancer, so I'm looking forward to this 12-year cycle commencing. I'm also really liking the Venus connection with Mercury. I think that is really our little boost for this full moon in Sagittarius. As far as the shadow for the week, well, there's a lot of shadow to really be managed. Venus square Pluto. it's the goddess going into the underworld. And so, financially, we all have to be a little more careful, cautious, wise. Things might feel a little tricky, feel a little dark, particularly at the beginning of the week. I'm also really watching Jupiter there, expanding the energy of Mercury, making the mind so much more active, so much more busy, wanting to have these conversations, wanting to express how we feel and what we think in this deep conflict with Saturn and Neptune. There's going to be a lot of things that you're certain about, but really you don't maybe have all the facts or understandings. There's going to be real consequences for the things you say, the things that you think, and the things that you try to manifest at this time. I would be very cautious with that full moon. I'm going to be very, very gentle with that full moon and what you're trying to let go of. And also really watch that Mars-Uranus energy. It can bring violent events. So slow down, be aware, do all the good things that you know you should do. Drink water, get sleep, don't overreact, don't underreact, and try to separate yourself from tense people and situations because things could blow up in an instant this week. All right, stick around. I'm going to do the Celtic Cross on this Mars-Uranus square because I really have just a feeling that it might be particularly volatile. It certainly does hit Donald Trump's chart very specifically, so it might be interesting to see what happens there. Of course, anything that impacts him is going to impact anyone affected by the United States, which, frankly, is the whole world. So stay tuned for that. Please drop a comment below. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the tarot spread. Hello, namaste, beautiful friends. Welcome to your Celtic Cross reading for the week of June the 9th, 2025. We're keeping an eye on that Mars-Uranus square. I am not digging it. So let's see what we need to know about that. This is for the collective, so we'll look at what we all generally need to know about this, how we can manage this energy in the best possible way. All right. Come on, little silk scarf. Stay put. So for the collective. All right, so the first card in the reading is us, okay? It's the peoples. Ten of Wands says, don't make it harder than you need to. Don't try to go it alone. Spread out the load. Don't overschedule your week. And just, again, look for your helpers. Look for other people who you can help you to get through this week. What's crossing you is the sun. There's something here about stepping more into your own personal power. In the past, the moon. Boy, there's been a lot going on, and we don't know everything, right? There's a lot simmering behind the scenes, right? In the future, Three of Pentacles, we're working on something. So perhaps this will help wake us up in some way. Crowning thoughts, we're concerned about our family and loved ones. Our subconscious mind wants to trust the process. Four of Cups, we want to just allow things to unfold and believe and love the universe, right? Know that it has us. Advice, Four of Swords. This is the chill out card. So we need to be in a position where we feel like we have things kind of prepared for the week, especially at the end of the week when this aspect begins to fire. But we need to have this kind of, I call it the prepare and pause card. So be aware, be ready, but also don't try to overcommit, overdo during the week. Outside influence, the Lovers, ooh, spicy. So there is something that we want to be doing. There's something that will be good that comes out of this. So this is not all dire and desperate. There's something really beautiful that could come together this week. What do you want to happen? You don't know. I mean, you're pretty focused on how things are not going so great right now. I know I am. I really am having to redirect my mind to positive things, but it's saying, hey, do what you can with what you got. Don't worry about what's already gone down. And the outcome for this aspect, Eight of Cups, it's going to make you walk away from something. Or as I mentioned last week, walk towards something else. So there's something here that you'll need to cut your losses on. You'll just say, yeah, I realize this is over. This phase has come to an end and I'm moving on. So I think this will, in true Uranian fashion, set us free in some way. Now, Reader's Fan, Knight of Swords, be logical, be truthful, be honest. Hermit, also spend some quality time in meditation and alone. Not a lot of big group energy. Queen of Wands, tend to things as they come up. Don't put off what you can do today. And also Six of Pentacles, you will need to devote some time and energy to something, perhaps even reviewing your finances. So I like this spread. This really gives me a little bit of hope, a little bit of comfort, a little bit of ease about what I consider to be a pretty difficult aspect. Do take a look at your own chart, see where this energy is flowing, and see what it is that you might need to be walking away from. What might you need to let go of in order to handle this energy with skill? I wish you the most marvelous week and the best management of this Uranian Martian vibe. If you have any questions, please drop them below, and I'll see you next week.